Welcome back to another outstanding episode of Lokar Car Show. This week we bring you to Ocean City, Maryland for the Ocean City Cruise In. Grab something cold to drink, sit in your favorite spot, and get ready to hear the stories behind these exquisite automobiles. Let's jump right in and get our feet wet here at the Ocean City Cruise In with this 1953 Chevrolet pickup owned by Ed Young and his wife. This truck was bought unrestored from a man on Tillman Island, Maryland, who used it to haul around his black Labrador. Well, since purchasing the truck, Ed and his wife have done a complete restoration and upgraded just a few things. He says they take it to different shows every week if they can find one.
My wife always wanted one, and we found this one in Tillman Island, Maryland. A guy was driving around in it unrestored, just hauling his black lab around, and we talked to him and we ended up buying it from him. Well, it was in 1953, and that's my wife's year she was born, so she wanted a 53 vehicle, so and she wanted a pickup, so that kind of worked out.
You may not recognize the president of the Christine fan club, Joe Caldwell, but horror movie connoisseurs and gearheads alike will recognize his 1958 Plymouth Fury. This car has been restored using parts of 3 cars. The 3 cars that were used were 3 of the actual movie cars. Actress Alexandra Paul was on hand at the Ocean City Cruise In, meeting with fans, telling stories and reminiscing about the car. This is one cool car and an even better resurrection story.
Back in 1983, when the movie came out, I actually snuck in the movie theater at 12 years old to see the movie. And then I fell in love with the car, and I promised myself that as I became an adult that I would try to buy one and build one. And in 2008, I became the president of the Christine Car Club, which is an international club, and started collecting parts. In 2011, I was lucky enough to acquire a whole collection of 3 of the original movie cars, the parts that were stripped from 1984 to use to build the car. So that's what I did. In 2012, we started the restoration, which went into 2015. So we restored it. It's a frame-off restored car. We went above and beyond a normal build. This was my dream, so I wanted to make sure that the car was going to be top shelf, and I think we accomplished that.
Well, Christine, the movie was my first feature film, and I had a wonderful time, and this car is pretty special because it's an amalgam of 3 cars that were in the movie that were destroyed during the course of the making of the movie.
Steve Darnell is known around Ocean City for building rat rods. Now, if you don't know what that is, take a look here. These are some cool cars that abide by no rules, and that is the way Steve likes it.
The Ocean City Car Show is awesome. I mean, the weather actually held out till today, but the support's awesome. Everybody's got some cool cars. I really like the drag. Everybody's out here just driving their hot rods and tearing it up out here. So far, it seems like everybody's been pretty safe, you know, it's just good to see all these people come together and enjoy this car culture. It's really amazing. Yeah, I'm known to do kind of some crazy stuff. A lot of the rat rods and rusto rods and things like that. These are a couple cars that they put in here for the show just so I could do my autograph signing around them. But they're all fun. They're unique. They're one of a kind, and they're creative and they're fun to build. I mean, that's what's cool about doing the rat rods and the custom rusto rods, is that you can just let your mind run free and do what you want.
The 1958 Chevrolet Impala that you see here has almost every option you could think of, including vacuum ashtrays. Bob Gunder is the collector and his son the builder. The Triple Deuce 348 produces 280 horsepower and is quite the spectacle for the admirers. Check out this coral-colored Impala that is truly a once-in-a-lifetime car.
When I retired from the federal government in 1998, I decided I wanted to look for a 58 Chevy convertible to restore. I had always been involved with Camaros, and we started out with Camaros. I have a 67 RSSS big block Camaro convertible, so I wanted to step up to the full size a little bit and see if I could find a convertible that you know, I didn't want to pay a lot of money for, but something that we could build from the ground up. I decided I wanted to add some options to the car to make it more valuable in the long run. And so I had already collected quite a few of those over the 10-year period. And we added quite a few of the options on the car, such as factory air conditioning and power seats, power windows. And it's got some small options that you rarely see on anywhere on any vehicles, and that's the vacuum ashtrays, those types of things. And so we completed it in 2014 and took it to about 9 or 10 shows that year, locally and as far away as Cleveland, and took Best of Show or first place in every one of those shows.
Whoa! Look at the air induction on this 1958 Corvette. This Pro Street Corvette's track days are over, and it has been demodified, if you will, to be back on the street. Jerry Kelleher is the owner now and loves to drive this fat tire Chevy on the street.
Well, it's a 58 Corvette. It's basically been on the track its whole life, and now it's retired from the track and it's a street car now, brought back to the street. It's all tubbed out. It's got 22-inch wide tires in the rear, 33-inch height. It's got a 454 big block motor, built motor with the 400 turbo transmission. It's a well-built car. It's a good-looking car, I think, and it's an enjoyable car to drive.
We've shown you a cool truck, a cult movie classic, and a couple of rat rods here on Lokar Car Show, and we're just getting started here at the Ocean City Cruise Inn. Can you guess what will bring you next? The Lokar Car Show, presented by Original Parts Group, is brought to you by ARP, proudly made in the USA, the world leader in fastener technology. Original Parts Group, world-class restoration parts. Lokar, quality, plain and simple. National Parts Depot, make your dream happen. And by Power Probe, an absolute must for your toolbox. If you're just joining us, you've missed some great cars with some great stories. Don't worry, we have plenty more to come. Event promoter Meredith Herbert with Special Event Productions is going to take a few moments to tell you about the Ocean City Cruise Inn.
Ocean City is a wonderful drive-to destination, and once here there's lots of things to see and do. The neat thing about cruising is you're not parked the whole time. You stay in one location for a few hours and then you can cruise to the next location. The two main events take place at the inlet parking lot and the convention center, and then we have many satellite shows throughout town at different businesses.
Ralph Papa is the proud owner of this 1966 Ford Fairlane. Now he owns a couple different Fairlanes, but this one is his driver. With a 427 aluminum motor, Shelby heads, 600 Holley dual 4-barrel carburetors, 4.11 Detroit locker rear end, plenty of other go-fast parts, and a claimed dyno reading of 650 horsepower. He can get where he is going really, really fast.
That was my favorite car, my very first car when I was in high school, and I always had them and restored them, and I have a 66 427 R code real car, and I needed something I would drive, and I built this car as an exact duplicate of the real 427 R code, but this one I can get in and drive and enjoy it. This is not a trailer queen. I drive this car. It took me 5 years to restore it. It's got a 5-speed Tremec transmission in it. It's got Caltrek bars. It's got 2.5-inch stainless steel exhaust. Soup to nuts. Took me, like I said, 5 years, and I wanted to build it as a duplicate of my real 427, but enjoy getting in and driving it and taking it on trips. And it's a good feeling to get in a car and drive it rather than look at it like my other one. This car gets more attention than me or any of my friends.
This 1967 Pontiac Firebird has the Pontiac 400 and is owned by Judy Grimes. She has a lot of memories in this car and is a little protective of it.
I was learning to drive. It was a 1967 Pontiac Firebird. I learned to drive on it, took my driving test to get my driver's license. So it was the very first car I ever driven. Really not here really to compete. I just like being around it. I like the cars. I like the people. It's just a good atmosphere. You know, it's responsible. You know, everybody's pretty responsible, and so it's more of just being in the atmosphere than competing.
It's time for Lokar Lowdown with Kevin Ford.
So Lokar is pretty well known for having shifters. What a lot of people don't know is how many options we have in these shifters. We've got different varieties of lever lengths, we've got different knobs, we've got all kinds of accessories to go with these shifters. We cover most transmissions, and we do our best to keep up with technology and catch all the latest stuff that's coming out. Let me tell you about one of the newest options that we have is our Premium Series knobs. This here is a deco knob, as we call it, and you can see it has a button in it, just like all of our Lokar shifters. All the safety features work. You're not going to bump into gear on accident. Your kid's not going to hit it. So you're going to be nice and safe, just like with any Lokar shifter. We offer a set of dipstick knobs now as well that we're calling premium dipstick knobs. So if you want to tie everything in together, you can check all that out on our website. Or give us a call and we can tell you exactly what we have and how to fit to your car. And we'd love to get you on the road.
Joe Richardson is the owner of this car. Do you know what it is? It is a 1957 Cadillac Eldorado. This particular car is pretty rare, and Joe is going to tell you all about it.
They're pretty rare cars. They actually only made about 400 of these that year. It's the lowest production year of an Eldorado in Cadillac's history. It's powered by LS motor, all re-chassised, all new suspension underneath it. So it's modernized. It looks old, but it's modernized as far as driving. It's got all the creature features, you know, backup camera, all that kind of stuff. Just wanted something that's really different. Like, I wanted something when you go into the car shows that nobody else has got there. So it's not your average, you know. I have other cars of my own, but I just wanted to build something that's really unique. So it drives like a brand new car. It don't drive like a Cadillac. You know, these Cadillacs, when they were new, they were just like a big boat. They just floated on the road. But this has got coilovers all four corners and everything, so it actually drives more like a suspension you'd find in more of a muscle car or something. It's kind of funny. I got a brother that bought a brand new Corvette, and he left it with me for a week and is in the driveway. He said, drive as much as you want. I drove it once and I was like, there's no fun in this. Nobody looks at you, nobody's conversation with you, nobody's asked you about your car, you know. It's just boring to me. I like something that everybody wants to know about. So. Nah, I like shows like this, that people get the cars out and cruise them up and down the boulevard. That to me is the most fun, rather than going to a show where everything's boxed into a building or something and you don't get to hear them, you don't get to see them. So shows like this is what I really enjoy.
This former Thunderbird owner has traded the Ford for a Chevy. Barbara Jones loves her red Chevy and enjoys spending time at the car shows. She and her husband enjoy them together, and he had his 1933 Plymouth Street Rid sitting next to her red Chevy.
And I like Chevys, and the car has all the Chevy motif to it. It's got everything on there. It's got the Chevy bow tie, everything on it, and that's what drew me to the car. Well, my husband has a car. He's had a car for a long time, and you're right, I really like the people at the car shows. You really get to meet a lot of people from a lot of different places. Oh, I love Ocean City. We don't live that far from here, so it's easy for us to get here and just love it. I love being at the beach. and I just love all the cars that are here. You get to see so many different kinds of cars. There's always competition. We have a place where there's all the trophies in the house, and unfortunately his is a little bit bigger than mine because I haven't had my car but for a couple of years.
I got a 1961 Pro Street Corvette. I've had it since 1976. Years ago I used to street race the car. Basically, I do a lot of driving with it. Over the years, I changed the look of it, made it more of a pro street car. I don't street race anymore, but I do take it to the drag track and I do drag race with it. There's nothing like the feeling of it. Come off the clutch, car goes up in the air, I shift the car. It's a 5-speed, I have a G-Force 5-speed in there. So when you come up, man, there's nothing like the feeling of it. It's coming on down, hit second gear, comes up again. I've gone 832 at 165. Now I have a new motor in it, 632 cubic inch. I'm looking to break into the 7s with it. 799 will be perfect. When you drive a car like this, you don't need to be on drugs because you feel like you're on drugs when you drive a car like this. It's a natural high. It's great.
Don't go anywhere. We have more to show you from the Ocean City Cruise Inn. The Lokar Car Show, presented by Original Parts Group, is brought to you by Lokar. Quality, plain and simple. Supply, one tool, one operator, no problem. H&M Saw, the saw that cuts straight. LMC Truck, restore, maintain, customize parts and accessories for Chevy, GMC, Ford, and Dodge trucks and SUVs. KBS Coatings, rust stops here. And by Power Probe, an absolute must for your toolbox. Resto Parts Restoration, powered by Original Parts Group.
Well, you know what they say, the devil's in the details, and to have your properly finished engine compartment, one of the most important things that people forget is inner fender seals. Also very important to keep dirt and dust out of your car or your show car in that sense. One of the big common questions we get is, how do I install these? Originally from the factory, they were stapled in. Okay, I've seen a lot of people use screws or rivets and it does not look correct, and it will definitely take points off if your car is getting judged. So I'm going to show you how to make it look correct with staples at home. Okay, what you want to do is you want to grab the staples that come with the inner fender seals. Okay, you line it up to your inner fender, okay, and you mark it. Now the trick is to drill the holes beforehand using the gap of the staple. I already drilled these previous holes, okay, and I'm going to drill one out. You want to use a punch, okay, so you avoid walking the drill bit across and scratching your fender like I did here earlier as an example. So here's a punch, line it up to your holes. Use your drill bit. Also, what you want to do is you want to make sure you drill and mark before you paint or powder coat your inner fender, so you don't have to worry about scratching them afterwards. Once you have all your holes drilled, it's very easy to line up your inner fender seal. Okay, just follow the shape of the inner fender. Depending on the model car you got, some of these go on the inside and some of them go on the outside. On this one, it's going to go on the outside. It's very easy to get your actual staple. Pierce the rubber with the staple itself. Okay, once that's pierced through, just run it through the holes that you drilled and go over from the back of the inner fender and either fold it over with a set of pliers or a screwdriver. There you go, the staples are installed and they're not even straight, just the way they came from the factory.
Anthony Tatey of Crazy Horse Hot Rods is here to tell you about this 1954 Chevrolet pickup Resto Mod. He worked on this truck for a year non-stop, and the story behind this truck is one you absolutely have to hear.
Now our customer, his father actually bought this truck brand new, and him and the grandson started building it. The father passed away, so they finished building it, and this is what it turned out to be. Paul actually, he likes Corvettes. He actually drives one every day, so he figures, why not put the same engine in that in his dad's truck? They put all the suspension and everything in it.
This 1973 Z28 Camaro RS has been mechanically restored by Michael Amon, and his friend Mike from Diamond Collision did the bodywork. There is apparently some power behind the wheel, because Michael says his wife is a little scared to drive the car. She says she isn't allowed.
Got the car back in 98, 99. It was kind of a car in a box. Been building it ever since. Didn't have the original motor, so I put a big block in it. Original 4-speed car. Body's all original, floor pans, quarter panels, everything. AC car. You know, every year, plug along at it, put it together, put it away, put it, you know, do some more to it. It's all, underneath is all done, stainless steel lines, everything's rebuilt, down to the suspension, all new suspension, everything's painted, powder coated, and it's a pretty good driver. It's nice, it brings me back in the day from when I was 18, hanging out with my friends, you know, sitting in the parking lot, watching all the different cars go by on Deer Park Avenue, and it just makes me feel young again.
That does it for today's show, folks. There were so many wicked rides at the Ocean City Cruise Inn that you just had to be there. We tried to bring you as many as we could. Make sure you check in with us next week. We are headed to Somerset, Kentucky.